Hey everybody, Tony here with the review of Gioacchino Rossini's La Siège du Corinthe, which I saw last night at the Adriatic Arena. The conductor was Roberto Abbado, and this was a production done by the La Fura des Baus, meaning that the sets and the production were done by Carlos Padrissa. The videography, sets, costumes, and everything else in between were done by Lita Cabayut. The lights were handled by Fabio Rossi, and the chorus master was Giovanni Farina. Much like my experience with Donizetti's La Favorite and Mea Belles l'Africaine, I was mostly familiar with this particular opera in the Italian version, as evidenced by Pamila's aria Giusto Ciel. On top of that, this was one of the operas which also skyrocketed Beverly Sills' career as a bel canto singer, as she sang the role of Pamela both at the Metropolitan Opera House and at the La Scala alongside such singers like Marilyn Horne and Shirley Verrett, who alternated as Neoclé, and Justino Diaz, who sang the role of Maometto il Secondo. The basic plot to this opera goes like this. The Greek Christians and the Turkish Muslims are at war. Meanwhile, Pamela and Neoclé are about to be betrothed through the hands of Cleomene. Unfortunately, Pamela still has her eyes set on Almanzor, who is actually Mahomet. She runs to Mahomet to declare her love to him, but she is ultimately disowned by her own father, Cleomene, who states that she is probably going to abandon her own country for the sake of the person who is their enemy. Nonetheless, she still manages to be a part of Mahomet's harem, and while Neoclé and his confidant come to the rescue to save Pamela, he is ultimately captured by the troops of Mahomet. He is then brought to Mahomet and Pamela, and while he states that the Greek Christian women are going to die for their faith, Pamela then states to Mahomet that Neoclé is actually her brother, and the two manage to escape the palace and go back to Corinth, where they are welcomed by Cleomene, who still has ill feelings towards Pamela. But nonetheless, she manages to be married to Neoclé. However, the opera ends unhappily, as after Pamela says her prayer, the Turkish troops come to attack Corinth, and as soon as Mahomet manages to try to take Pamela back, she stabs herself, thus fulfilling the prophecy of the high priest Hierro. In addition to that, there is also a lot of great music found in this particular opera, and it's not just Pamela's prayer, Giusto Ciel, known in French as Juste Ciel, but a lot of really wonderful musical moments like the ballets and even that of Mahomet's arias and the arias of the different characters. So I have to say that last night's experience with La Siège du Corinthe was certainly rewarding. And now let's get on to the production. Overall, I found it to be quite interesting, as it's basically a war-torn land where it seems as though that the endless supply of water bottles states that water is the most precious resource that Corinth and Turkey have to offer, especially considering the fact that it's also set in a desert where water is quite scarce. So there are many occasions where there are men and women bringing huge gallons of water to the stage to state that this is basically the supply they have. And I thought the costumes looked really great on all the singers. Basically, a lot of the costumes for both the men and women are basically sleeveless and are tight-fitting to show that they are always in a war-torn situation. They're always at battle. They seem battle-hardened, but at the same time, there is that type of animal-like grace that is evidenced in all of the players. So overall, you have to leave it up to the La Fura des Baus for something that is quite well done in their own special way, and something that manages to be so vivid and quite magnificent to witness. And I have to give everyone at the La Fura des Baus a lot of kudos for a job well done in this particular production. Everything seemed to have went together, and it was just quite alluring to look at. And what's also quite noticeable is that there are times where Lord Byron's poems were shown in English, Russian, Italian, and Spanish. Why they didn't also do it in German and French, I'll never know. But I found it really interesting, probably to show that the entire situation of the opera basically talks about how loss can come at such a fast rate and how war can affect certain things like that. So I'm not going to mince words here. The production and costumes, especially when you have people from the La Fura del Baus, were absolutely great in their own special way. And now we get to the singers, starting off with Luca Pisaroni, who sang the role of Mahomet. And what you need in this particular character is either a basso cantante or even that of a bass baritone. One who can sing not only the low notes, but also a lot of the high notes. He needs to have the stature and that majesty of a Philip II from Don Carlo, a Ramphis or the King of Egypt from Aida, Sarastro from the Zauberflöte, and even that absolute virility of a Mephistopheles from either Faust, Mephistopheles, or even La Damnation de Faust, a Don Giovanni from Mozart's Don Giovanni, and even have that superb, rich, low quality of a Sparafucile from Rigoletto, a Baldassare from La Favorita, and many other great roles that are perfect for a basso cantante, and even that of a true, rich quality of a Heinrich der Vogel, a Fasolt, a Gurnemanz, and even that of a Dutchman or a Hans Sachs to really make this character come alive. And I thought that Luca Pisaroni did a really fine job with Mahomet. He has this tall stage presence. I mean, he is quite tall when compared to the rest of the singers. He has that type of nobility and the type of handsome presence which makes him stand out superbly. And he's able to play his part very well with a great amount of masculinity, and he was just quite virile in this part. And even though I do like his voice, which has that suppleness of a bass baritone, I'm sort of missing the true basso voices of Nikolai Diaurov, Cesare Siepi, Giorgio Tozzi, Jerome Hines, Karl Ridderbosch, Hans Zoten, and many other superb basso cantantes of the past. But I still have to give a lot of credit to Luca Pisaroni for a job superbly done. The way he was able to embody this particular anti-hero was well done. He was able to make Mahomet a tall, imposing character, but he was also able to make him quite human. He was an absolutely great singing actor from beginning to end. Then we go to Cleomene, who was sung by John Irwin. And what you need in this role is not only a high singing lyric tenor, but you also need a lyric tenor with a little bit of meat in his voice. He not only has to sing gracefully like Belmonte, Don Ottavio, Faust, Alfredo Germont from La Traviata, Arrigo from I Vespri Siciliani, Percy from Anna Bolena, Idreno from Semiramide, Roberto de Vereux from Roberto de Vereux, Leicester from Maria Stuarda, Arturo from I Puritani. But he also has to have a heroic quality like Poglione from Norma, Gualtiero from Il Pirata, Orombello from Beatrice di Tenda, Rodolfo from Luisa Miller, Ernani from Ernani, Carlo Moore from I Masnadieri, Arrigo from La Battaglia di Legnano, Jacopo Foscari from I Due Foscari, Raoul de Nancy from Les Huguenots, Robert le Diable from Robert le Diable, and even that of Walter von Stolzing from Meistersinger von Nürnberg, and Erik from Der Fliegende Holländer. What you need in this voice is not only a superb lyric tenor which can sing all those high notes, but a tenor who can also have a little bit of that spinto tenor weight to him. He needs to have a very fine quality to his voice, and he also has to be a very superb actor. And John Irwin was an overall great package. The way he was able to modulate his voice was just wonderful to witness. It is a fine, full lyric tenor voice, and he managed to make this character come alive when it comes to how regal he is. And even though his character is quite aged due to the many battles he's faced, I can definitely tell that he managed to put in a little bit of that strength and nobility to Cleomene. He was a very great singing actor all throughout. His voice had that superb sparkle, which I love in full lyric tenors, and he was able to act his role so convincingly that I practically had my eyes glued to him from beginning to end. He was absolutely fabulous as Cleomene, thanks to his superb and focused full lyric tenor voice and the way he managed to make this character just come alive. Sergei Romanovsky was absolutely fabulous as Neocles. In the Italian version, Neocles is usually given to either a mezzo-soprano or a contralto, whereas in the original French version, it's given to a light lyric tenor. In the Italian version, what you need in Neocles is either a mezzo-soprano or a contralto who can not only sing a lot of the low notes of that of a mistress quickly, or even that of a brangena, or even that of a valtraute, but also the high notes of a Cassandra, an Eboli, an Amneris, and maybe a lot of these Falcon roles, especially that of Carmen. But in the French version, since this role is given to a light lyric tenor, you definitely need a tenor who can sing all the high notes while appearing very heroic on stage. Lots of tenors who have sung the French version of Neocles have also went on to sing the likes of Uberto from La Donna del Lago, Ramiro from La Cenerentola, and even that of Lindoro from L'Italiana in Algeri, and many other roles for a high-singing light lyric tenor. And Sergei Romanovsky was a hero in every single way. He managed to have that heroic feature as he managed to go around the stage just walking tall and strong, and his voice was really great all throughout. It was superb in phrasing, superb in how he managed to sing everything so well, and how he managed to sing all of those high notes, especially that high D in his cabaletta, were absolutely amazing. I would love to see a lot more of this wonderful light lyric tenor, and I'm sure that his career will blossom much further, as he was an outstanding singing actor, and he just had that confidence which is so infectious to witness. Then we have Nino Machaidze, who sang the role of Pamira. And what you need in this role is not only a coloratura soprano who can sing beautifully, but you also need to have that dramatic weight of a true dramatic coloratura soprano. You need that vocal strength which is evident in roles like Anna Bolena, Maria Stuarda, Elisabetta from Roberto de Vereux, Norma from Norma, Alaide from La Straniera, Imogene from Il Pirata, Elvira from Ernanni, Amalia from I Masnadieri, Elena from I Vespi Siciliani, Lida from La Battaglia di Legnano, Lucrezia Contarini from I Due Foscari, Daphne from Richard Strauss's Daphne, Isabelle from Merber's Robert le Diable, and even that gorgeous coloratura singing evident in roles like the Queen of the Night, Constanze, Donna Anna, Elettra, Sifare, Lucio Cinna, Lucia Ashton from Lucia de l'Amour, Amina from La Sonnambula, Elvira from I Puritani, Marguerite de Valois from Les Huguenots, Marguerite in Faust, Mireille from Mireille, and even that fine lyrical quality of a Mimi from La Bohème, and Antonia from Le Comte d'Hoffmann, and even to some extent Leila from Le Pécheur de Pelle. One would need to combine a lot of these attributes in order to make this particular character come to life. From the great coloratura singing with all of those high notes to that nice and pristine lyric quality, one would definitely need all of these attributes to make Pamira come alive as a character. And I thought that Nino Machaidze did just that. I have been following her career for quite some time, and she's not really a super high singer, as evidenced by the quality of her voice and how she managed to sing. She is a natural soprano who has no gimmicks whatsoever, and she just has an overall fine quality to her voice, even though it does sound a bit metallic to my ears. She has a lot of grace that she gives to Pamira. She was youthful in this role, and she was absolutely wonderful from beginning to end when she sang Pamira. She was an overall dedicated singing actress. She showed a lot of strength and endurance, and she was absolutely thrilling to witness from beginning to end. And most of all, she managed to play up glamour very well, which has always been her forte. The way that she managed to use glamour was really well done, as she made Pamira just bloom as a character. Carloccini was a superb Yaro, and unlike Mahomet's more basso cantante voice, you would need a basso profondo to sing Yaro. Think of other basso combinations like the Grand Inquisitor and Philip II, Walter and Worm, Titurel and Gurnemans, Fafner and Fasolt, and what you have in this opera is basically Yaro and Mahomet. Now the thing about Yaro is that you truly need a basso profondo to basically complement that of Mahomet's more basso cantante voice. And even though his role may not be that huge compared to the other players, he still needs to contribute his part magnificently. What you need in this role are the plush, low tones of an Osmin from Die Entführung aus dem Serail, a Commendatore from Don Giovanni, a Sarastro from Die Zauberflöte, Titurel from Parsifal, a King Mark from Tristan und Isolde, a Grand Inquisitor from Don Carlo, a Sparfucile from Rigoletto, a Fiesco from Simon Boccanegra, and many other roles for a true basso profondo to basically complement that of Mahomet's basso cantante / bass baritone voice. And I thought that Carloccini was just wonderful as Yaro. He has that tall, noble, and magnificent stage presence which made him come alive as an overall singing actor. He had that nobility and strength which he fulfilled so exceptionally, and I was quite glued to his performance, and he just seems to have this presence which makes him stand out so well that it's quite infectious. He really was magnificent in every single way, all thanks to that firm sounding basso cantante / profondo voice. We also had such magnificent singing from Yuri Samoilov's superb Omar, thanks to his superb sounding baritone voice, which has a lot of great potential to sing more dramatically. Xavier Anduaga's light Adraste, whose tenor voice was quite lovely to listen to, and even Cecilia Molinari's lovely Ismene. So overall, the singing was magnificent, not only from the main cast, but also from the supporting cast. Everyone did magnificently, and they were the absolute stars of the evening. And the conducting, done by Roberto Abado, was absolutely fabulous. He made sure that all the orchestra members and all the singers sang their lines well, and in terms of the orchestra, he made sure that they managed to play together really well. And the chorus and orchestra were absolutely great all around. And I also have to give a lot of credit to the dancers of the La Fura des Baus for a job superbly done when it comes to the choreography. So overall, with a very interesting production, a great cast of superstars, and an overall great conductor, last night's production of Rossini's La Siège de Corinthe was an absolute success, in my opinion. And for those of you who saw this particular production of Rossini's La Siège de Corinthe at the Adriatic Arena, what did you think of it? Did you feel like the singing was absolutely fabulous from beginning to end, especially when you have a great cast like Luca Pisaroni, Carloccini, Nino Machaidze, John Irwin, and Sergei Romanovsky? Did you feel like there was a singer who stood out so strongly in your eyes? Or did you feel like the entire thing just didn't really hold up? Comment below and let me know. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in much later for my review of Rossini's Il Viaggio a Rem at the Teatro Rossini. So until then, have a great day, everybody.